Welcome to Dirt Diaries, the podcast where the women of agriculture get real. From muddy boots to boardrooms, we're digging into the unfiltered stories of the FarmHers, ranchers, and every her shaping the future of ag. This isn't just shop talk, it's real talk. We're covering career paths, big wins, hard lessons, and everything in between. So whether you live it every day or you're just ag curious, pop in your earbuds and get ready. These are the raw, inspiring, and wildly relatable conversations you won't hear anywhere else. Let's dig in. Hey guys, welcome back to Dirt Diaries. Today's guest is proof that you can be both a powerhouse behind the wheel of a tractor and a force on social media. Zoe Kent is an 8th generation grain farmer from Crawford County, Ohio, and at just 26 years old, she took over the family operation. Since then, she's built not only her farm, but also a wildly popular online presence as the face behind Farm with Zoe. Across Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook, Zoe gives her followers an honest, family-friendly, and often hilarious look at rural life. In this conversation, Zoe shares how she went from college cheerleader to full-time farmer, the realities of succession planning, and how she's using social media to educate and connect people to agriculture. We talk about the balance between honoring her family's long farming legacy and embracing new tools, tech, and ideas to keep things moving forward. She's funny, she's down to earth, and she's not afraid to show it. Let's get dirty with Zoe. On this wonderful episode of Dirt Diaries, I have an in-studio guest, so it's so wonderful. Zoe Kent is joining me here in Nashville at our studios at RFD-TV. I just kind of want our viewers, most of them are very familiar with who you are. You have such a presence on social media throughout several platforms, but for those that are just listening, driving down the road right now, or tuning into the YouTube page, give us a little background. Tell us about yourself.
Yes, so I am an 8th generation farmer in Ohio. I always knew I wanted to be a farmer when I grew up. I went to The Ohio State University, was on the cheer team the first couple of years, had a nice little, college experience there. Came back to the farm, worked for my dad for a couple of years, and then he was ready to retire. So I bought him out 4 years ago, and I'm running the show. We produce corn, soybeans, and content is what I like to say. Started doing social media in June of 2021, and that kind of took off. And so now this is my little second job I have going on, and it's been a really fun adventure. It gets me to go to cool places like here.
I mean, so I love that you mentioned, by the way, you had a great college experience, like kind of did something else outside of, the norm of just being on the farm and things like that. But did you know you always wanted to take over the farm, or when did that kind of set in for you?
Yes. I always knew I wanted to be a farmer. There was a time in 5th grade where I wanted to be a hairdresser, and my parents were like, Zoe, there's no way that you can cut hair straight. It just wasn't going to work out for me. But besides that, yes, I always knew I wanted to farm. Specifically, I knew I just wanted to hang out with my dad, moreover than just loving corn and soybeans. But yeah, I was just tagged along with him as a kid, and it was really fun. And I just always knew that was what I wanted to do.
Were you surprised when he decided to retire? I mean, was that kind of early for him? Was this always the game plan, or did that catch you off guard?
It was always the game plan. So my dad's 40 years older than me. So I was 26 when I bought him out, which felt very young for me.
I feel like that's really young, and that's really impressive.
I'm just a 30-year-old baby right now.
Yeah, I'm like, wow.
But I knew it was coming. When I was in high school, we were already kind of talking about that succession planning aspect. He had 40 series tractors, and it was like, okay, I can either be investing in new stuff, keep upgrading. You can have a good setup to come back to, or I can start to kind of slowly transition, just farm my own acres and live out the glory years, kind of a little less stress. So we were kind of having those really important conversations from the beginning. So it wasn't a shock. We were planning. I'm going to get the years wrong for sure. So I worked for him for a couple of years, and then we formed an LLC.
Okay.
We were going to operate the LLC for 5 years and then start the transition. But at year 2, towards the end of it, he was like, you know what? I think it's time. What's the difference of a couple of years? And he also has a genetic condition where he's numb from the waist down, and he has double vision. So he already, since 2019, he wasn't doing any of the farm work. It was more of just a managerial aspect, and then occasionally being in a truck here or there. So he felt like it would be easier and a better experience if I was just running the show. And like he always says, it's one thing to watch someone make the decisions. It's a whole other ballgame to be making those decisions yourself. So I'm really glad that we did this transition this way, just because he's like still here. He's still able to give me lots of advice while I'm actually making the decisions. So it's been a challenge. I don't think anyone's like thrilled about where the commodity prices are at right now, but
I'm sure we could spend a whole hour talking about that.
Yeah. So in some ways it's been challenging, but in other ways it's been really rewarding.
And I think that's interesting because succession planning is difficult and it is challenging. Sometimes it's harder for families to talk about that and begin that process, to execute that process. And more we're hearing, whether you go to different conferences or at different things or listen to different podcasts, people are talking about the importance of succession planning. Do you think because you're eighth generation, because the farm or your family has been in the business for so long, that maybe that came a little easier to discuss and implement?
Yes. So I wouldn't say because of length. I don't want to throw my grandparents under the bus in any way. But they passed away when I was in like early elementary school. Mm-hmm. But they never said what was going to happen with the farm. And my dad has a sister. She's married to a husband. Wow, she's married to a husband.
She's married to a husband.
She's also married to a farmer. So it was very much like, hey, we'd all like the ground. We'd all like the equipment, that kind of things. And my grandparents always said, you guys will just figure it out. Which is
so hard.
Not amazing.
No, that's so hard. You put your family in it's a hard spot.
Yeah. So my dad spent a lot of years just being nervous on what was going to happen. And so for me, he was like, I just always want to be talking about it. I have two siblings. Neither of them are connected with the farm. And so it was just lots of conversations with all of us, just making sure that everyone's happy with the direction we're going. And all that to say, yes, like I've transitioned into owning the farming operation. We don't have every single duck in a row as far as like how the ground will be split up, those types of things, because like transition is like, there's so many steps. It's not always just like a one time everything gets split up. So I go to conferences, I talk about succession planning. We're not 100% there yet, but it's okay.
And I think, again, like you're obviously farther than some people, and even just like starting those conversations with your family, it gets, I'm just going to even use the word painful a little bit, because it's so personal, right? And there's a lot of feelings that can be hurt. And there's a lot of decisions depending on your age. Some people don't know what they want to do yet. They don't know if they want to come back to the farm, or you feel indebted to maybe come back to the farm because the families work so hard to have the ground produce, a crop or whatever they're farming. And yeah, it could get messy. Mm-hmm. It could get messy really quick, but it's so needed.
Yes. Yeah. And what I found is like, I would just work up all these conversations in my head of like, oh, what if my siblings say this or that? And then when we actually had the conversations, they were like, okay, sounds good. Just because, I was thinking about it all the time and my dad was thinking about it a lot. And so then we would have these conversations and they'd be like, okay, well, so why is this happening this way? And I would start to get defensive. So I'm like, I don't want them to think that I'm like taking advantage, getting a better deal than them in any way. But I could find myself being like, well, we're doing this way because this is what the lawyer said to do. And I have to be like, okay, they haven't thought about this at all. They're just asking questions, so it's totally fine.
Yeah, they just don't know. It's actually funny. So I have two sisters and they both are back home where my family farms, and I'm not. I'm in Texas, but we have recently obviously talked to my parents about all of this, and they started that a while ago. But we're all very boisterous, if you will. I'm going to put that in the nicest way I could say. But it's so funny because we've all kind of said to my parents, like, figure this out, because wouldn't you hate to leave us three in a mess and like something split up, like, I don't know, our family ties because of, you guys not taking care of business. And they're like, geez, so harsh. So we're like getting onto my parents, and it's just an interesting thing. I mean, working with family, which we could touch on right now, is another challenge within itself. Obviously, you mentioned you loved working with your dad. Talk about that a little bit more, and just what it's like to have a family business and carry that legacy on, in this generation and everything that goes into that.
Yeah. So I always hear like horror stories of like, like my dad wouldn't let me do this or that. People like really fighting. My dad and I are like the same person, which is great in some ways and like probably difficult in other ways, because we're both like go with the flow. I'd say like yes, I'm in charge, but still if my dad's like, I don't know if I'd do it that way, I'm like, okay, well, I'll hear you out. One thing is, so we had a couple fields that were no-till for a very long time. And we wanted to kind of turn the soil once to see what would happen, give it a shot. And he was like, well, I do own that ground. So technically I am the landlord. Now, I did work that ground. Now, will I regret maybe having done that? Who's to say?
But you don't know unless you try,
Yeah.
right? Especially if you guys wanted to.
Yeah. But I mean, that was, some silly banter back and forth. And he's willing to let me make my own mistakes. We'll say that.
Which is actually really nice, especially for your growth, not only as an individual, but like as a farmer. And I don't know if you still hear this as much. You know how people always say, oh, farmers and ranchers, they're set in their ways and they don't like change. What's your take on that?
So another thing is like, so my grandfather was in like the Depression era. He was very much, I want to farm my ground. I want to not expand. Like, I want to enjoy my life, which is amazing. People should do that more for sure. Yeah. I think I can go in the other direction. But with that, my dad was like, I want you to do anything and everything. I want you to try it all. And then I pushed back a little bit to him. I'm like, no, I need a critical voice telling me, I don't know, maybe think about this. Maybe don't buy a drone and try to do all of your own fungicide in 6 months and, just
risk.
I need someone who's the what's that word?
Like someone
not the naysayer, but
like an authoritative person, just someone who, yeah, maybe like hey, maybe will make you question, like, should I do this, or think about it a little bit more.
Yeah. I don't need full support.
Yeah,
I need you to question my choices.
I was gonna say, so are you a kind of like a go after, like give it a try to anything new, especially when it comes to technology?
It depends.
Okay.
Like a silly thing that I got into my head about, we have a 30/20 tractor. When I was in either high school or college, I was mowing and I could not get it to switch gears to save my life. And my dad was working with backhoe, and he backed into me because I had gotten to a point where I was like, oh, I'm here. I need to shift gears. He was working dirt back and forth, and I watched in slow motion as he crashed into me because I could not get out of gear. And I was like, I'm never, ever driving this tractor again. We were down the road from our shop, and I was like, you have to drive the tractor. I'll walk home. I'm done. And then like years and years later, my dad was having a hip surgery. The 30/20 was at one farm. I had to call like an old friend of ours to be like, can you move that tractor back? I don't know how to move it because I'm stubborn. And then a couple of years ago, I was like, okay, I have to figure out how to move this thing because like, how embarrassing to like ask someone to come move a tractor for me.
Talk about what you guys farm. I know you mentioned it briefly, but just kind of your role on the farm, day-to-day life, what that looks like for you. Because I also know in transition after that, we'll discuss social media and your presence and really how you've been able to, I don't want to say capitalize on that, but educate people on farming practices and your guys' farm specifically. But a loaded question right there, but all in one. Go into that.
Yes. So day to day on the farm. So it's me, and I have a one employee named JD. He's actually also one of my landlords for one of my fields. So it's a fun little give and take of I'm in charge of him, but he's in charge of me in other ways. And he's a fantastic mechanic. Like I break everything, he fixes it.
That's so nice.
He has great job security with me. But I haul all of our grain. I run all the equipment, do all the things. It's a mostly one woman show plus JD. And then in the fall, I have a guy named George who's 87. Okay. He still runs the combine and corn sometimes. Now he will only work till 5 or 6 p.m. or till it gets dark, which is great. It's amazing. But I have a high schooler who will help after school, and he can come at like 1 or 2, and George is like, no, do not take my spot. I will be working till 5. So that's a fun little thing. And then I have a retired school teacher who also drives trucks for us, and he started working ground this spring. So it's a little hodgepodge of whoever I can get a hold of during the fall. But day to day, it's me and JD. And then my dad always comes to the farm. Yeah. He can't do anything physically, but he hangs out in the office. He comes and asks questions, see what we're doing. Just hangs out and gives advice. He's there to tag along.
That's kind of nice to have him though around.
Oh yeah. He is good at lightening up the situation too. Just I don't know. He's silly, but it's really fun.
And okay, so most people obviously know you from your social presence, and you've done such a fantastic job of not only shedding like a day in the life of what you do out on the farm, different farming practices, your guys' operation specifically, but industry wide, you're constantly educating people who will know about farming, but come to your page and come across your page. Go into that and just the social and digital aspect of everything.
Yeah, so that's a really fun thing. Just like my mom, she has been married to my dad for, I should know how long, but I don't know. They recently had an anniversary, maybe 35 years.
Oh, wow, yeah.
But, you know, it's like she's lived on the farm this whole time. And she's like, Zoe, I've learned so much from you in the last couple of years compared to your dad, because apparently she doesn't listen to him. But she'll watch every single video I put out there. And just like people in my town, it's like, yes, they live in a rural community, but they see what we're doing on the farm and they kind of have an understanding of what we're doing in the fields. And so that's really fun. And I try to do a mix of like entertaining content, then also like just weaving in a little bit of education here and there, because I don't think people, like a lot of people come to social media just to like have fun. And I see when I do like I don't want to call it like a lecture style video, but like when I'm explaining a process, people are like glazed over, not as engaged. But if I kind of just weave in the education with entertainment, then they get those little like nuggets of knowledge.
And they're like, thank you for that. Well, okay, so go into that, because I think social media has changed, especially since you probably started. I'm just going to use Instagram for instance, but like since you started your Instagram, algorithms, all of that, like talk about that, because I really feel like you're such a master of understanding what you want to shed light on and then what people are digesting and really like to see.
Yeah. In my Instagram, it feels kind of like a hodgepodge. Like in the beginning, I started out on TikTok and I was just doing a lot of like voiceover videos, like quippy, funny, just like silly things. And then I definitely shifted into a lot of like just day in the life during harvest, like what we're doing on the farm, because I did not have time to be harvesting and then also like, okay, what are the trending audios today? So I just did these like day in the lifestyle videos. And on Instagram, the first year that I started doing them, my page like exploded. I gained like 90,000 followers in like a couple of weeks. Last year, I posted the day in life vlogs. Like no one could have cared less. But that's
They're
just
like, we already know what she's up to.
Yeah. It's just like the algorithm. It's just like what's happening in the moment. But I try not to like lean in, try to like see how to get the best engagement, stuff like that, because like sometimes like, well, this is what I want to post and I don't care if it's going to flop, because this is what I want to tell the people today. Might not be a great business strategy, but like I'm not, I don't know, trying to conform just to like please the algorithms.
So you have such an organic method then when it comes to posting or putting together a reel or just anything that you are, the content you're putting out there.
Some people say organic, some people say chaotic.
Oh, hey,
I don't.
Organic can be chaos, you know, right? Do you find this is a business, because it takes a lot of time and effort and energy, I know, to put out what you put out there. Have you structured it as a business then, or talk about that a little bit more?
Yes, it is a business, but I will say I always prioritize the farm over it. I've gotten some like, I think I have to turn down an opportunity to go to Germany for free for a week because it's right in the middle of harvest. And it's like, okay, would it be cool? Yes. Would I be incredibly stressed trying to find labor?
Is it for Agritechnica?
Yes. Agritechnica, I still need to email you back.
Oh my God. You should go. You need to go.
Here's the thing. Last year, we finished harvest on November 5th, and it was a record. And it's like, it is that week, but we also had 0 rain in August and the crop kind of just burnt up at the end. So I don't know, put me on standby for that one.
I'm like, oh, Agritech, talk her into it.
Or just like switch the dates to December.
Yeah, push it back.
Just me.
Yeah, come on. Oh, but that does stink. Sometimes you have to turn down cool opportunities because, I say that you putting the farm first is the most important thing.
Yeah, I feel like social media is like temporary. Who knows, my accounts could be hacked tomorrow and it's like, okay, that's gone. The farm is always going to be there. I need to keep the farm as the main priority, even if it doesn't make sense financially. Back to the bad commodity prices.
I was going to say, okay, we have some fun games, but because you are so knowledgeable about the industry, let's dive into some of that boring stuff and maybe a little stressful stuff. But more and more, we see younger generations not coming back to the farm, but we are seeing, I should say that. Let me back up. We were seeing younger generations not come back to the farm or not be able to. They were going and getting different occupations when it was a little easier, was cheaper. And it was just a different route for individuals to take. I don't know. I feel like in the last year or two, though, that's changed a little bit. What's your opinion on that, or your take? Do you think it's just too challenging for younger individuals to afford to be back on the farm, or what do you think?
I think what I'm seeing is people will come back, but they have to have a side hustle or side gig, or they have to sell seed, on the side. Just because like it just is not how it is. Like when my dad started farming, it's, you have to have an edge. You have to have multiple streams of income to make it work out, which in some ways is great. I feel like the last couple of years, when I came back to the farm, it was like I was learning how to do what we do on our operation. And the last couple of years have been like, let's question everything and figure out why we're doing what we're doing to make this thing profitable, which is great. Like, if kind of just turning the negative into a positive of, okay, if things are good and great and I'm not really analyzing things, we might be missing out on some opportunities, whereas, okay, we need to make things work out. So let's be really critical of everything we're doing. And hopefully that will help our business to succeed down the road.
Yeah. I think too, on top of that, there's been people who have been curious or interested in this lifestyle and this industry, becoming a farmer or rancher. What's your thoughts on that? And how do you kind of, encourage those individuals to take that path and take that route?
Yeah. And I'm not sure if this is exactly where you're going with this, but like I see a lot of like homesteading content.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I kind of want to return to the farm, make, have some chickens, do this thing or that thing. And I think that's great from they're just learning about food production, all those things. But I think it can also be really overwhelming. And then they understand why we have large chicken barns and, why we kind of do the things that we do them. But I don't know. I think it's great. I don't think it's, I don't know. I'm not worried about more people getting into the industry, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And when people talk about, food production and that we need younger generations to really participate and go back to the farm and participate in their family farms and really make it, what their job is, their lifestyle, because at the end of the day, everyone has to eat. What do you have to say when it comes to that?
Yeah, I think it's great having younger generations come out. Also, like there's a place for every size of operation. One thing that I'm definitely nervous about is like we have a few really large operations in our area that can just go out and buy whatever piece of ground they kind of want to.
Yeah.
And so that does make me nervous for the people that don't have another person to take them over, because I just feel, okay, well, they're going to go to one of the highest bidders, because why wouldn't you? And I feel like we'll see more farm consolidation that way, but it's kind of out of my control on what happens. So I'm trying not to worry about it too much. But yeah, if we can get more people coming back and, being creative with how they're doing it to make it profitable, I think that'd be great.
You seem to have a really positive attitude and outlook.
Today.
You're
tomorrow,
like, ask me tomorrow.
I think I've told my dad a handful of times, like, maybe I should just move away.
Yeah, be done, quit.
Be done, be a housewife. Yeah. Why did I not choose that route?
I know. Okay, so go into that a little bit, because I think it's a stressful, and I mean, sun up to sundown and beyond that, like you're just working. And so there are, like I said earlier, there's other routes people can take. One, because sometimes it is just easier and it's less stress. I mean, are there days where you're like, what in the heck was I thinking?
Oh yeah, but it's not heck. It's like, yeah. So my husband, he's a user experience designer, and he works in DC 4 days a week. And so some days, it's like he's doing incredibly hard work that I could never do. I can hardly turn my computer on.
Same.
But then I'm like, man, he's sitting in air conditioning all the time, just like typing on his computer. I'm out here working all year round to make nothing / maybe a loss. Why did I choose this for me? Or why did I not get a job at McDonald's?
Yeah.
Where I can make some minimum wage.
and have an ice cream sundae, and everyone's happy when they go through the drive-thru at
I
McDonald's.
love an ice cream cone. In college, if I had a good cheerleading practice, I would swing through the McDonald's drive-thru, get an ice cream cone.
The hot fudge sundae, the soft serve. Don't tempt me with a good time at McDonald's. I'll have one, let me tell you. Okay, we're going to have some fun now. We're going to play some games. Although, like I said, we have gotten to know you. I feel like people know you really well. But this game's called Break the Ice. So if you have a habit, and it could be strange, weird, or it's just a habit you have, what is that? What's your habit?
I'm a fidgeter all the time. Like I hardly ever wear my wedding ring on the farm because I don't want to lose a finger.
Yeah.
But like whenever I have any jewelry on, I am just constantly fidgeting. I cannot stay still.
Do you have a guilty pleasure?
Currently right now it's watching How I Met Your Mother. First time I've watched that show, and it's like every single night I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch one episode, and then it's like 3 episodes in, and it's 11
Are they still
PM.
making new episodes of that, or no?
I think it ends because I know it ends because people have been like, skip the last season. But I started watching the show because I listened to an interview with the person who is like the mother, and so
you're like, I kind of know.
Yeah, I know what's gonna happen. But
that's funny. Favorite condiment to use in excess?
I feel like it just depends on the timing, but like usually honey mustard. I am a huge honey mustard fan on anything.
I was like, would you use it on like anything?
Yeah. On celery,
celery.
Oh yeah. Oh,
that was a shock right now. I was like, I was not expecting you to say celery.
Oh yeah, just like anything to get honey mustard. We were at a baseball game on the 4th of July, and I accidentally put honey mustard on a hot dog because the 2 mustards were next to each other. And I just thought it was like 2 mustards. And honestly, it kind of slapped.
You're like, this is it. This is it. This is what I'm gonna have now. Something you wish you were better at?
Spelling. Oh, so not to brag, I was first in my class in high school.
Brag away. Go ahead. That's
when
awesome.
I went to Google like inspiration for my speech at graduation, I could not get Google to figure out what I was trying to spell. I was trying to spell valedictorian. It was like, we have no idea what you're talking about. I had to type in the person who's first in their class to figure out how to spell it. And I was like, I was quickly humbled.
You're like, spelling. So spelling wasn't your subject, but maybe like history, math, all the other things?
None of them were my subject. It was just that my mom was like, you will get good grades. I will make sure, because I definitely undiagnosed ADHD. Like I was not paying attention in any class. And it was like every single night I'd come home, my mom would be like, okay, what are we studying for? I'm tying you to this table and you will learn. My brother is like incredibly smart, and he was the firstborn. So it was like, oh yeah, my mom got all straight A's, my brother got all straight A's, and they were like, oh, what's happening here? So I did well in school, but it was only because my mom was like putting foot to the fire.
Hard work. It does pay off. Sometimes you don't have to be the smartest person in the room, but you just have to outwork everyone else.
I am a try-hard.
I like
registered.
You know, the number 2 person who graduated with you is listening to this, and they're like, I knew it.
Shout out to Haley.
Yeah.
She was definitely smarter and nicer, just well-deserving person. And she's a flower farmer, so like she's making a beautiful crop. Like, not that corn's not beautiful,
but you know, just different. Yeah. Different kind of beauty.
I did beat her in one way.
Gotcha, Haley. Just kidding. We appreciate you being there. Okay, do you have a hidden talent?
Oh, hidden talent. I can still tumble a little bit. I'm like definitely not as good as I once was, but I could probably throw like a backhand spring here or there if needed.
Oh wow! I mean, so you didn't cheer all 4 years?
Just my first 2. So I had 2 years of like being a student athlete, and I had 2 years of partying.
Yeah, literally. College is fun.
I always wanted to be in bed by 9 p.m. I was the person who, we would be in an Uber and then we'd stop at a red light, and if it was close to our apartment, I would just jump out and be like, I'm leaving.
Oh, that's it. I'm getting out. Sorry, guys, I gotta go. Well, it's because you knew one day you were like gonna be up late and be up really early, so that was kind of your time probably to get some sleep in.
Yeah, and I had a dog. I was like, Ethel was, well, she still is. She's here with us. It was always like, I have to let Ethel out. Sorry.
Ethel needs me. Sorry, guys. I can't make it to SIG-UP tonight. I like that. But the cheerleading, I mean, did you cheer at a young age?
Yes. So I did gymnastics as a kid. And like, if you're a good gymnast, you can be a great cheerleader. And it doesn't go the other way, because it's like you learn that body awareness, but it doesn't like, translate the other way. And I like by junior high, I was like, okay, I'm not going to be a great gymnast, but I can rock it at cheerleading. And so I was like a senior in high school, and a coach on a different team was like, where are you going to school? And I like told her, and she's like, I think you should try out for cheerleading. I was like, okay, sounds good. And I did.
Yeah.
And like, I was definitely the worst on the team and the tallest, which is just, I'm 5'2".
Wait, that is shocking, right?
Yeah, I was a giant. It was really a hard transition because it was like, oh, I'm like kind of normal size on the small, and then it was like, oh, I'm looking down at all my friends. This is
5'2"
weird.
giant over here, girl.
Yeah, but it was like the sweet spot of like before people grew up in like competitive cheerleading, where they like, like, I could absolutely never even be considered for the team in this day and age, just because these girls have like crazy talent. But like, I came in at a time where like you could have just been like a casual high school cheerleader and then like made the team.
But that's a fun, again, just a different experience to have, especially in college. And I don't know.
Yeah.
A new
And
group of people to meet.
it kind of led me into the social media, because I was hanging out with all these people that like mostly didn't have agricultural backgrounds. And I was like, we had the token, like, this person's going to be a dentist, this person's going to be a doctor, this girl's going to be a farmer. And so like when I'd work for my dad during the summer, I'd Snapchat my friends and be like, this is what we're doing today. And they'd be like, this is crazy, we want to hear more about it. And I was like, oh, people find like what we're doing entertaining. So it was kind of like that little spark.
Yeah, that makes sense, because the exposure to, they're like, whoa, we had no idea. And even you mentioned that earlier, you grew up in a rural area, but there's sometimes people in your rural area who just aren't that connected to agriculture because they're not, because maybe their parents are lawyers or they work at the supermarket or whatever, they just don't. It's so interesting to me. I love that. Okay. Least favorite part of your day?
Oh, responding to emails. Definitely.
Like, don't email me, anyone.
I have to like send them to ChatGPT to like correct the spelling. It's like a whole thing.
Hey, thank God for chat. I was like, I would have been really great in college if I had ChatGPT back in the day. Oh my gosh, it would have been wonderful. What's your favorite part of the day?
I really like waking up. Like, it's not like, oh my gosh, I spring out of bed. Like, but once I'm up, it's like calm. It's before people start texting and emailing me, like that beautiful time between like 6 and 8 a.m. where it's just like, I'm just planning my day, getting things ready.
So nice. I like that time of day too. One thing people may be surprised to know about you.
I'm truly an introvert.
Okay.
I think people are like, there's introverts and then they don't like people, they don't like talking. I like talking to people, but I'm going to be physically exhausted and want to speak to no one. In a few hours after we finish this podcast, I'm going to have to go sit in a dark room by myself.
Like, and do not reach out to me. Do not email me. Whatever you do not email me.
No contact, please.
That is interesting, because sometimes I think with social media, people think, one, they already know everything about you and it's like snippets, right? But two, they kind of, I don't know, kind of create this like character in their head and mind. And so that probably is exhausting.
Yeah. It's funny. Like I spoke at the Ohio FFA convention one year, and it's like, okay, so I talked to this room of students. It's amazing. I go to the gas station afterwards and I'm like fighting to make eye contact with the cashier.
Like, I can't do it.
Yeah. I don't know. It's range.
Oh my God, I love it. If you could participate on one reality TV series, what would that be?
Oh, so I almost participated in what's it called? It's the show. It's in the 3rd season right now, and it's like these people and they have to compete for things and they like die. What is that called? Squid Games. Games. Okay, so
wait, what?
I got an email.
I'm gonna throw these cards. We're about to talk all about this.
I got an email in the middle of harvest, and it was someone being like, "Hey, can you apply to this Squid Games thing? So like, would you be a great contestant?" I was like, "You have to send in like a 1-minute video on like why you should do it." I didn't watch the show, but my husband did, and so I kind of genuinely knew what it was about. And I sent in some silly video of me in a tractor because I was in the grain cart at the moment. And they like emailed me back and they're like, "Great, you've moved on to the next round of casting. You're going to meet with a producer." I like met with someone and they were like, "Okay, you have to be," I think it was like in the UK, and I think it was during the fall. And then I just didn't respond. I was like, can't
like,
can't
I'm
do
not
it.
responding to this email.
Yeah, but I was like, there was some, because there was like it was like the most amount of prize money like ever on a game show. And I was like, okay, could I pay off the farm if I go on this show and then win it? And I was like, that would be a bad, I don't know.
That would be cool though.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'd be down for any reality TV show if it's going to work with my schedule.
Yeah. As long as it's not in the fall, okay, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got things to do. We're busy. It's harvest. Let's see. If you had a sandwich named after you, what would that sandwich be called?
Oh, wow.
It probably would have honey mustard on it, I'm assuming.
Yeah. The Zoe 101. I don't know.
Ooh, I like that. Hey, I watched that show with my little sister.
Oh,
back in the day. It was a good one. It was cute.
It was good. We had like farmer vision, we called it, like where you got like 2 channels. So it was like you had to get up at 6 a.m. on Saturday morning if you wanted to watch anything.
Yeah.
And that was when I was like really glad if I caught.
Yeah, you're like, oh man. If you could watch one movie or read one book for the rest of your life, what would they be?
Movie would be Stick It. It's the gymnastics movie. Book. Wow. I've read a lot of really good books in my day. I swear I read.
I was going to say, yeah, so you're a reader. You find time to do that.
It's one of those things where I will like go real hard in the paint and read like 7 books. On our honeymoon, my husband was like, you actually like have to stop reading and talk to me because I'm like just bored. And then I'll go 6 months without like reading a single thing. But the last book I read was the Land Ridge Cash 4. And
I've seen that. I've seen that in, or maybe somebody had that at some conference. I don't know. Sorry.
Yeah. But it was really good. Like I cried like 6 times reading it just because it was talking about like how there is farm consolidation, how like there's all these different challenges with every single generation. And it was like hitting like way close to home while I was in a dark spot with the grain market. So that was a one that I recommend to like everyone and like non-farmers too, just because like I do think like there's just a lot to learn about the farming history and why things are the way that they are now.
Okay, I'm gonna have to get that book and read it then. Land Ridge Cash 4. I have seen that, but I can't remember where now. Anyways, that's for another time. The podcast people don't care if I've seen that book in real time or not. Okay, a really distinct moment of pride.
Ooh, that's interesting. What am I prideful about? I don't know. Every season, like when we get done with it, I will have 1 beer. It's really exciting, the life that I live. But like it doesn't really matter what time of day it is. Like if we finish at noon or whatever, we'll like go and we'll sit down in the office and like we have a guy who hunts on one of our fields and he works at the Michelob Ultra plant, and so we get like Michelob Ultra for him hunting the ground, and it's like sit down, have 1 light beer, nothing ever tastes better. But that's every season. It's just like, oh, we did it, it's done, and
on to the next. Yeah. Oh my God. I like that. That's cool. Okay. This game is called Fix It or Film It. So I'll give a classic farm disaster and you will tell me if you stop to fix it first or grab your phone and film it. So this one is the grain cart tire blows mid-load.
Oh, definitely. I've learned my lesson. We got a combine stuck. There was the back left rear tire went completely down into a blowout, and I was completely sick to my stomach. I was like, we're in the middle of the field. I'm like, how do we get anything back here to pull this out? JD puts it in 4-wheel. We couldn't believe it. He gets it out of there, and it's like everything's fine. And then he's like, so what's the video look like? And I was like, I was trying not to throw up this whole time. And now I'm like, I had to happen. So now it's like, okay, get your phone out. And I've learned, like, I overflowed 2 grain bins in a matter of like 20 minutes last year. And in the moment while I was filming it, I was like, this is so incredibly embarrassing. I was trying so hard not to do this. But then I was like, I know if I just like wait on this footage, in 2 weeks, it'll be funny when I post it.
You're like, when I'm over the fact that I did this in 2 weeks, it'll be good. Oh, that's great. Dad's yelling from the shop or the office at you.
He doesn't do that. So I would definitely film it.
Yeah. You're like, that would be a once in a lifetime. So yeah, I mean that. You dump a full load of corn on the ground.
Film it.
Yeah.
I've filmed it. Yeah.
The auger starts spinning backwards.
I'd probably be scared. I don't know. Any augers kind of scare me a little bit. I'd probably be waiting to make sure everything's safe.
JD, where you at?
Yeah.
Get over here. Okay. This one's This or That Ohio FarmHer edition. Sunup or sundown?
Sunup.
TikTok or YouTube?
TikTok.
Okay. Yeah. Because you started on TikTok, you said, right?
I don't have a large attention span.
So quick.
But like platform of posting wise, I really like YouTube a lot better. Just there's so many scam accounts on TikTok that annoy me and I can't get taken down.
Yeah. I don't spend much time on, I will look at videos on TikTok, but I don't post on it. And there's just so much to see there. It's interesting. I didn't know there was a lot of like scam accounts. Coffee or sweet tea?
Coffee. I started drinking black coffee in the 6th grade.
Oh, that's me. I love black coffee. Getting greasy or cleaning equipment.
I usually just get greasy.
Coveralls or Carhartt bibs?
Carhartt bibs.
Okay, there we go. And this one's called Cornfessions. You know, Jenna and Holly, they come up with some witty ones, and I love it. But honest and funny farming confessions. So I'll give you a scenario, and you just have to admit if it's happened or what you would do if, you know, it did happen. Have you ever cried in the tractor cab?
Every day. All the time. That's the place I cry the most.
You're like, yeah, you know how people cry in the shower? You cry in the tractor cab. Probably.
Oh, yeah. Often.
Eating lunch from the buddy seat floor.
Oh my gosh. Actually, so last harvest, so the high schooler we have on the farm, Colin, he'd only been working for a little bit, and I had a frozen burrito, and I just threw it inside a box, and it just slid out and fell on the ground. He picked it up, set it back in the box. It fell a second time. He picked it up, set it back in the box. And then I was like, I just ate it. I was starving, and it was like covered in dirt, wiped it off. And I was like, this kid has to be terrified of me at this point.
Yeah, he's like, wow, she's kind of gross.
Like, I touched that with my bare hand.
Yeah. Ignored a blinking warning light a little too long.
Yeah, there was like a whole situation of breaking down right next to a train track in the dark because I was like right around the corner from the shop, and I was like, this will be fine. Was not fine.
You're like, Well, before we wrap this up, I have a couple more things. When it's all said and done and you kind of look back, and I know you said farming's first, obviously social media is second, but it goes hand in hand because it's really kind of portraying your life and the industry that you love so much. What's one thing you want people to take away when they visit either it's your TikTok page or your YouTube or your Instagram, you name it? What's one thing you want people to take away from who you are as a person and this industry as a whole?
That farmers are working hard to provide like quality food for people. I think there's like a lot of people who are wary. There's so much misinformation out there. People are scared. And I want people to know that like we really care. And also that it's a business. This is my job. I don't feel like I need to be like thanked because I do this like really heartfelt job like this. At the end of the day, I'm doing a job to hopefully make money. And I hope people that like appreciate it, but like I don't need the thank a farmer message, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. And we like to end, you know, Dirt Diaries. If you had a diary or a journal and your future self would read it and you were to write an entry today, what would you want your future self to read about, you know, this time period in your life?
Yeah. It really depends on the day because sometimes,
I like that. That's honest.
Sometimes I'm optimistic and other times I'm like, you are an idiot. I think so. Like just with like, I just purchased this drone doing this whole fungicide thing. In like the couple months of figuring it out, getting everything lined up, I was like, this is a stupid decision. Why did I do this? Why am I spending all this time doing this? And then like, now that I have it all worked out, we're up and running. It's like, oh, okay. Like I can figure out hard things. For a while I had this like idea that like my brain has all of the information that it can absorb. I cannot learn new things, but I can. And yeah, just like don't be scared of change. Don't be scared of trying different things.
I like that. Dear Diary, don't be scared of change. Well, Zoe, thank you so much for joining us here in the Dirt Diaries studio. You're the first person to join me in the podcast studio, so I really appreciate it.
Very exciting. Thank you very much for having me.
That's it for today's episode of Dirt Diaries, where the women of ag leave no story untold. If you loved what you heard, be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone else. Until next time, keep showing up, speaking out, and getting your hands dirty.